Planet Dolan.
There are a few things pretty much everybody knows about Antarctica, like it's really cold and it's melting. But what do you know about its ghost mountain range? Or the time a pregnant woman was sent there to have her baby? Those are just 2 of the 10 things you're gonna learn about Antarctica.
Hey everyone, my name is Melissa. I'm here to caress your brain cells with weird facts from all over the world.
Number 10. For a place covered in snow, you might not think of the word dry when you think of Antarctica, but it's an apt description. The air in Antarctica has a relative humidity level of 0.03%, and based on precipitation, it's the largest desert in the world. Not only is the air in Antarctica too cold to actually carry any moisture, but there are some areas that aren't even snow-covered. The McMurdo Dry Valleys carry the same arid climate as the rest of the continent, but have no snow or ice cover at all. They're so barren, in fact, that scientists have used the area to simulate conditions on Mars. Number 9. The wind in Antarctica is a unique type of wind known as katabatic wind. That's the name for a wind that travels downhill due to density. Antarctica is a very high continent with steep changes in elevation, and air that becomes dense at high elevations travels quickly down that hill. Most of the time, winds like that are light, but under the right conditions, they can be hurricane force. The highest winds recorded in Antarctica were around 200 miles per hour. Number 8. Because the majority of Antarctica is covered in ice, it should come as no surprise that there is a lot of water there. But did you know that most of it is freshwater? In fact, Antarctica is home to about 60 to 70% of all of Earth's freshwater. Part of that is the lake itself, but it's also a result of the continent's more than 400 subglacial lakes. Number 7. You've almost definitely never seen Antarctica's Gamsberts of mountains, despite it being a mountain range stretching across 750 miles of the continent's surface. Some of the peaks even rise up to nearly 2 miles high, yet they're basically invisible, even to the people standing right next to them. Why? Because while the mountain peaks rise up to about 9,000 feet high, they're covered in about 15,000 feet of ice. So when you're there, not only are you standing on the mountaintop, but also the additional mile of ice on top of it. So it would just look like a flat tundra to you. Number 6. Because of the thick sheet of ice on top, not all that much is really known about the topography of Antarctica. After all, it's not like the whole thing is just an ice sheet. There's an actual land continent under there. But it took until May of 2018 for researchers to discover 2 massive canyons deep beneath the layers of ice, using a combination of ice-penetrating satellites and a radar plane. Both canyons rival the Grand Canyon of the western United States in terms of depth and width. The most shocking aspect is that scientists previously had absolutely no indication that there was any canyon there at all. But not only did they find one, they found 2 of the largest canyons in the world. Number 5. For a long time, Antarctica and Chile squabbled about ownership of Antarctica. If not the entire continent, at least portions of the land. In 1977, Chile's dictator Augusto Pinochet traveled to the continent to show his country's dominion over the land. Argentina responded with something much more subversive. They sent a pregnant woman. On January 7, 1978, Emilio Palma became the first person born in Antarctica. The idea was to lay a land claim based on having the first naturalized citizen of Antarctica, which is silly because Number 4. Antarctica is legally neutral. It's literally against international law to lay claim to any part of Antarctica. That's part of a series of treaties signed in 1959 called the Antarctic Treaty System. These treaties cover the do's and don'ts of the general use of the continent. While there are lots of specifics to it, the basics are that anyone can set up a scientific research facility on Antarctica, but no nation is allowed to have a military presence there. Another part of the treaties dictates that no nation will be recognized if they try to establish sovereignty over any part of Antarctica, which makes that whole thing with Chile and Argentina pretty much moot. Number 3. Antarctica, despite its frigid climate and ice cap, is actually the single most volcanically active region on Earth. In 2017, scientists discovered 91 new active volcanoes beneath the surface of Antarctica's ice sheet, in addition to the 47 volcanoes already known about. An eruption of any of these volcanoes would most likely not reach the surface, but it could destabilize the ice sheets that are already melting from climate change. Number 2. Part of the Antarctic Treaty System is the Madrid Protocol. The Madrid Protocol is all about protecting the natural resources of Antarctica, and basically says that no country is allowed to gather natural resources from the continent. Of course, that's an easy treaty to agree to. Not only would any sort of mining operation be extremely difficult with all the ice and harsh conditions, but what few mineral deposits it does have are small and not really worth it. Number 1. The discovery of Antarctica was basically an accident. In 1773, James Cook became the first explorer to enter the Antarctic Circle. While there, he ran into a series of previously undiscovered islands in the South Seas, which technically was part of what we now know as Antarctica. But he never saw the mainland, and neither would anybody else, until several decades later. It wasn't until 1820 that the area was explored by expeditions from the British, American, and Russian parties. January 27, 1820 is the first recorded instance of anyone seeing the full continent of Antarctica. This video was made possible by our fans over on Patreon. Thanks for your support, guys. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you next time.